In today's lesson, we're going to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. And we're going to be completing the square when the coefficient or the lead coefficient is not 1. All right, so let's start out by reviewing a problem that we did yesterday. We had x squared minus 16x is equal to negative 15, and we're going to solve this by completing the square. So remember, we went and we took the x squared minus 16x, and then we're going to have plus something is going to be equal to negative 15 and then plus something. So we're going to complete the square by taking this number right here in the middle. Remember, to find that missing number we have over there, we're going to take negative 16, and we're going to take half of that, which is negative 8, and then I'm going to square that. All right, so that's how I get then the 64. So we'll have 64 right here. And whatever I do on one side, remember we have to do on the other. So then we continue to solve then by factoring. And these are perfect squares, so I had the 8 and the 8. And because I had a minus there, remember these are both going to be negative. And then I had this is equal to 49. And so then we have x minus 8 squared is equal to 49. All right, and then x minus 8 is equal to plus or minus 7. And so then that's when then we solved, and we had the x minus 8 is equal to 7, and we have the x minus 8 is equal to negative 7. And we have the two values for x, which is going to be 15 and 1. All right, so how do I solve by the square when the lead coefficient is not 1? So notice I have 2x squared plus 20x minus 8 is equal to 0. So let's take a look and see if we can factor anything out, if we can divide the whole thing by a number. I'm going to come here and I'm going to divide everything by 2. Notice that 2 can be divided by 2, 20 can be 20x and minus 8. All can be divided by 2. So when I start that way, I'm going to then have x squared plus 10x minus then 4 is equal to 0. All right, so let's go ahead and let's then get this x squared plus 10x by itself. So we're going to move this over, and I've got my x squared plus 10x is equal to then 4. So now we are ready to complete the square. So I'm going to have x squared plus 10x plus something is going to be equal to 4 plus something. All right, so now let's go ahead and remember to find this middle term, or the last term there. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take it and divide it by 2 or in half. And that's equal to 5, and then I'll square that. So I have 25 here, and so I have 25 right here. All right, so then to continue solving now, we have to factor it, and I have the x plus, here, I'll just do this. And I'm going to have the 5, and because I had the plus, I have x plus 5, and x plus 5 is going to be equal to 29. So x plus 5, and now we've got squared is equal to 29, and I'm going to take the square root, and I'm going to have x plus 5 is equal to, then when I take the square root of 29, I get plus or minus 5.4. So x plus 5 is equal to 5.4, and x plus 5 is equal to negative 5.4. And we will have then x is going to be equal to 4, or 0.4, and x is going to be equal to negative 10.4. Okay, so now we have 3g squared minus 24g plus 27. And again, our lead coefficient is not 1. So let's see what we could divide all of those by. And notice how 3 can go into all of these terms here. So I'm going to divide everything by 3. And I'll get g squared minus 8g plus then 9 is equal to 0. All right, so again, let's now minus our 9 on both sides. And so now we have the g squared minus 8g plus, now something is going to be equal to negative 9 plus something. All right, so again, we're going to find that third term there by taking negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. So I'm going to add 16 on both sides. All right, so now we're going to factor, and I'm going to have my g and my g and a 4 and a 4. And remember, because we have this minus right here, these have to be negatives, is equal to then we'd get 7. So negative 9 plus 16 is 7. All right, so let's go g minus 4 squared is equal to 7. And now we're just going to take the square root then. And I'm going to have g minus 4 is equal to plus or minus 2.6. All right, so g minus 4 is equal to 2.6, and g minus 4 is equal to negative 2.6. And you'll end up with g is equal to 6.6, and g is equal to 1.4. All right. All right, so we've got this area of a rectangle, which is 180 inches squared, and then we've got a height of 2x and a width of 2x plus 3. So remember, area is equal to our base times our height, or our length times the width. So let's go ahead and set this one up, and I'm going to have my 2x, and I'm going to have times, because base times height is 2x plus 3, and now we're saying that the area is equal to 180. So let's go ahead and we're going to simplify this. We have 4x squared plus 6x, and that's going to be equal to 180. And we're going to solve this by completing the square. So remember, we want that lead coefficient to be 1. So I'm going to divide everything here by 4. And that's not, I'm going to end up with some decimals here. So I'm going to end up with x squared, and then I'm going to have plus 1.5x, and that's going to be equal to then 45. All right, so now let's try to complete the square here. So we're going to complete it by having x squared plus 1.5x plus, and then we're going to have something is equal to 45 plus, and then something here. All right. So we are going to then, to find the third term there, we're going to take this one, we're going to divide that by 2. And then remember, we're going to take that and we're going to square it. So when I divide that by 2, we get 0.75, and then we're going to take the square of that. And I will end up with then 0.5625. 0.5625, and again, what I do on one side, I have to do on the other. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to factor this. And so remember, this is 0.75 and then 0.75, and because I've got a plus, I'm going to have pluses here. And then this will equal to 45.5625. All right. So x plus 0.75 squared is equal to 45.5625. All right, so now let's take the square root of it. And we'll have x plus 0.75 is equal to plus or minus, and you'll have 6.75. And so when you then solve these, you're going to get, I'm going to subtract 0.75 on both sides. I will get x is equal to 6, and then x is equal to negative 7.5. And remember, you can't have a length of a side, could never be a negative number. And so then our x is going to be equal to 6. right, question number 4. A car with good tire tread can stop in less distance than a car with poor tire tread. The formula for stopping distance, D in feet, of a car with good tread on dry cement is approximated by D is equal to 0.04 V squared plus 0.05 V, where V is the speed of the car in miles per hour. If the driver must be able to stop within 80 feet, what is the maximum safe speed of the car? Round your answer to the nearest mile per hour. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to write down our formula here. And we have D is equal to 0.04 V squared plus 0.5 V, and then the distance that we're looking for is going to be the 80 feet, so we're going to put is equal to 80. All right, now we're going to solve this by completing the square. So let's go ahead and get that lead coefficient to be 1. So I'm going to just divide everything by 0.04. All right. All right, so we're going to end up with V squared plus 12.5 V, and that's going to be equal to 2,000. All right, so we're going to solve this by completing the square here. So let's go V squared plus the 12.5 V plus something is equal to 2,000 plus something. All right, so let's go ahead, and we need to find then our third term here. And so I'm going to take the 12.5 and I'm going to divide that by 2. And you end up with 6.25. And then remember, we're going to now square that. And I end up getting 39.0625. Let's just round that to 39.06. So 39.06. All right, so let's go ahead then. We're going to factor. And we'll have a V, and we're going to have a V, and then remember we had 6.25 and 6.25, and it's going to be plus. So 2,039.06. All right. And now we're ready to take the square root. And I'm just going to round that to 45.16. All right, so, and it's plus or minus. So we have V is going to be equal to, so I'll round this one to 39, and then I'll have V is equal to also negative 551.41. And remember, we cannot have a negative in this answer. So we are going to cross that one off. And so the speed then would be 39 miles per hour. So in this lesson, we took a look at solving quadratics by completing the square when the lead coefficient is not 1.